Hi guys, Bran here, doing a little bit of a different video today. Today we're going to be returning to the good old killers I like to play tier list. I've not really actually done one of these. I did back when Nemesis released. I did a video where I talked about the top 10 killers that I liked the most and the top least favorite killers to play. And that has become increasingly outdated, nor did that have literally every killer because there's more than 20 killers in the game. So I'm, quite literally leaving people out in order to do that, huh? And so I want to go through and I want to rate every killer on, this is me playing them. I know there's a lot of killer tier lists. This one's focused on characters I like to play and characters and my enjoyment with them and who you'll see in my rotations and who I prefer to play. So yeah, this list is subjective. So if you're like, wow, I can't believe Blight's so low or something like that, it's my list. It's about what I like to play, so shut up. Okay, so first on this list is Dr. Shocker. I'm going to be putting everything and they're all right first, just as kind of like a placeholder because that's the middle zone. I'm going to have my top three characters I love to play. The next one tier is I love them, so you're going to see them in a regular rotation for me. I enjoy playing them and for one reason or another, and you'll probably see them in my rotations on my streams. They're all right. I don't hate them or dislike them, but I would rather play somebody else. That's the they're all right. It's if I got a daily or a challenge, or if I'm looking to switch it up out of the top 5 or 6 characters I'll play, I'll go down into this tier and play one of these. But by and large, I'd rather play somebody in the tier above them. And then we have meh. Meh is literally meh. It's that killer just doesn't do it for me for whatever reason. I just kind of I don't really like playing them. I don't really feel negatively towards them for the most part. It's just kind of I just don't, I'm not a huge fan. And then there's the bottom tier, which is would rather stick my fingers in a fan, which is reserved for one character in specific. And if you watch my streams and you know me, you know who's coming. So that's an easy one for you. So yeah, let's go and get started with the Doctor. I think I'm going to put Doctor in meh. And I know there's a lot of Doc fans that watch the stream and watch the YouTube. He's going to be at the top of meh. I think it's the thing is I just haven't put the time and effort into understanding Doc yet. So I find him to be a very frustrating character. Because he's just an M1 killer, right? He has his shock powers also have the ability to find people and also deny them windows and vaults. I do like his static blast a lot. It's my favorite part of his power, of his kit. But oftentimes I'll be going to shock people. We dock, we shock. And they'll just drop the pallet anyway, or they'll get the vault anyway. And it seems a lot of the time, even if you're hitting perfect shocks, something like latency or ping can deny you something. And when your whole character's power is preventing people from having access to things, right? And something as simple as ping or latency denies that to you. It's just kind of that sucks a lot. So I don't know. It's probably just something I need to get used to, and something if I played the character more often or secondaried the character, I would understand. But as somebody who plays most of the roster, I just he just doesn't interest me enough to delve that much into him. So yeah, Doctor's gonna sit at the top of him. He may go up to the bottom of there, all right. I don't have a terrible time with Doctor. I just would rather play somebody else. All right, we got Spirit. Spirit. She recently got a nerf that made her a lot more fair because now you can directionally tell where she's phasing from. So she can't really do the standstill mind games anymore. I've been playing her a lot more since the nerf because obviously she's not going to be as frustrating to fight against in that regard. So I feel happier playing her at against survivors, but for the most part she's still top 3 in the game. And survivors still play very sweaty against her as a result. So, and I don't I know this sounds dumb, but I like Spirit's power. I like her little zooms, how she just the haunting, which goes and then she just flies forward. I think that stuff's cool. But the fact of the matter is she is still a meta character. People still treat her like a meta character, and it's just kind of my matches with her aren't very enjoyable. I think she's going to be in there all right, but she's probably going to be at the bottom of there all right. I like her power, I like her aesthetic, but by and large, the matches I have with her aren't very good. Like, I just don't have happy matches when I play this character. So I'm just like, you know, pre-nerf, she would have been like the bottom of meh, because like I think that stuff's dumb that she used to be able to do, like stand still at pallets and catch people. But she'll be at the bottom. She's moving up to the bottom of there all right now that she's a little bit more fair of a character. Okay, good old Blight. Blight. I'm gonna put Blight kind of at the top of there all right. I used to like Blight a lot. I used to really love Blight. Especially when he first came out. He was just like a really fun and interesting killer, and obviously his power is very interesting. But he's kind of fallen weird. It's weird that they're next to each other, because I feel like Blight and Spirit are like so similar now, especially with their player bases. Like, Blight is literally the Sweatlord character. Like, Nurse is like, I'm gonna spend all these hours to become the most powerful character in the game, and it's like a whole thing, right? But Blight's like kind of like overtaking where Spirit sits in the tier list, and in that, in equal parts, this is where all the sweaty like a-holes go to play, as they go to this character. And I like Blight a lot. I think he can be pretty fun. I think this is one of those situations where like the community aspect is kind of like overtaking my ability to see the character straight, because some of the Blights are really sweaty and really mean and gloaty as a result. I think if we're just going to look strictly at the character, he's really fun. I like how he has the ability to be around the map at all times. That way, you know, you can like actually be in more chases. I like how he has a lot of like weird shots and stuff that you can do. But he can also be a very frustrating character, because like, you know, sometimes you slide off stuff, sometimes you ram into things, and sometimes like literally like I was watching the video Otts put out on Blight, and like literally Shack is different just in terms of its like collision box, like on all the remade maps. So like Blight literally has to play certain Shacks differently, even though it's still the same Shack tile. And if he feels like a character that unless you like devote your life to him, like you're gonna have a hard time like getting the most out of him. And the community around playing Blight seems to be very like high and mighty, at least most of the ones I've met. So, you know, it's very hard to feel like that's a character I want to play. But yeah. Okay, Bird Lady, the artiste. Obviously there's nothing over there yet because she's not technically out yet as of this video releasing. Could I have waited 5 more days to make this video? Yeah, probably, but I wanted to make it now, and it's my channel and I do what I want. So she's, I don't know, I feel like I have more fun with her than everybody in the They're Alright tier. But in the same, she has a nice flow of gameplay, right? Like in the PTB, she had like a very nice flow of gameplay. Like it's like you can check gens, you can set up like short-term traps, you can, you know, chase people from afar. Like essentially, like she always has something going on, and I like that a lot about her, which is why she's probably gonna sit probably at the top of They're Alright and kind of stay there. I think I was getting bored playing her in the PTB because it became very evident very quickly that the survivors couldn't do a whole lot against me if I was like wanting to play super optimally and super like intensely. The survivors couldn't really do a whole lot against me, so I don't find that interesting. I like killers that are like really good, but I also like seeing how the survivors can be really good. Like if somebody doubles back or fakes a window perfectly, I think that's cool, right? Like I have a good time as killer watching it happen. I'm like, oh, nice play, you know. And I feel like she doesn't have any of that, you know, because if you're playing her optimally, like it really doesn't give you a whole lot in the way of input in the chase. So therefore I'm not seeing cool or interesting plays from the survivors while I'm playing her, because she's just kind of like denying that from happening, which is not great. Not great. Well, then again, it's, you know, she's still in the PT, you know, she's not out yet, so hopefully they change that. All right, Pinhead, good old NFT man. Oh boy, this is one that's kind of like hard to see straight, because obviously the behavior kind of did one of the most morally bankrupt things they've done in their time in this game. Like this wasn't like a perk or anything. They're just like, yeah, let's go NFTs. Like, let's remove the voice lines, and it was a whole controversy. I have a whole video on that. I have like multiple videos on that, I think, at this point, but like that was a whole thing. But I like this character a lot. I like Hellraiser a lot. I think it's a really cool movie. The sequel, there's like one good sequel and the rest are bad, but hey, that first movie, Clive Barker, amazing, absolutely amazing. So I was one of those people that was excited to have Pinhead in the game, because I thought Hellraiser was such a cool movie. And I think they, like, for better or worse, they really did nail his power. He plays like Pinhead from Hellraiser. Like, the box is involved, the lament configuration is involved, and it's an active mechanic. Chains literally spawn out of nowhere and attack people, which happens in almost every movie. His power is very hard to control, but also very concentrated, I guess, which is kind of like fitting the kind of calm but menacing aura of Pinhead. I don't know, just kind of like they did a good job of like emulating the character into the game. And he has a high skill curve, so anything with a high skill curve, I'm all for it. Unfortunately, he's not too fun to fight against. if a Pinhead, it's like he has the nurse effect. He really does. He has the nurse effect. He's like a diet nurse, where he has this problem that like if a Pinhead's just super good, you can't really do much against him. Like, you just kind of gotta like hope you were in a strong area or hope you had a resource nearby. But I still see people like dodging the hooks and stuff that come out of nowhere and that sort of thing. So there's still something there. So I'm watching survivors still interact a bit. But I think just based on the IP alone, I couldn't put him any lower than I love them. So yeah. Oh boy, Huntress. Here we go. Okay. I bet you can tell just by my reaction where she's going. Huntress is a very cool character. Very simple character. I raise hatchet and I throw hatchet. That's it. That is the character. But she has so much depth to her. She has a very high skill curve, understanding where hatchets can and cannot go at certain ranges, at certain charges. Certain add-ons drastically change the way her hatchets work. It's just like she's got a lot going on, and she used to be my secondary, and she's going to sit up at top 3. She used to be my secondary. Another character on this list overtook that recently, but Huntress used to be my secondary. See, like, I have a favorite character that I like out of like sentimental value, and I will always consider him my favorite character in the game. But like, I feel like Huntress was the first character I truly felt like I was having fun in Dead by Daylight. At a higher level, right? Because like at lower levels you can play basically like anybody. At lower MMRs you can play basically like whoever you want. I feel like this was the first character where like I was getting kind of good at the game, and like was still having a blast playing a character, just because like the kind of shots you can get, and like it's entirely skill based. Like literally like I know the fridge can be super forgiving, but like for the most part, like most of the things that are happening in the match are you like that's you doing that, right? And I like that like control over the match that you have. That's all up to like how efficient and how much of a sharpshooter you can be. And just getting a really close shot is one of the best feelings in the world. Like one of those shots that you're like, you can't hit that, and then you hit it anyway, and everybody's like, it's just like such a fun and interesting feeling. And I think it's why she's one of the more played characters in the game. Then they released some sort of thing during the 5th anniversary event. I think she was the 3rd most played character in the game. I don't know if that's still true, because that was like 4 or 5 months ago, but at the time of that, she was the 3rd most played character in the game, and I completely understand why. All right, good old Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head. I love Silent Hill. I love Silent Hill a lot, especially Silent Hill 2, which is the game he comes from. I'm not saying anything new there. Everybody was always like, Silent Hill 2 is the best horror game to ever exist of all time. That's for good reasons. That was a very fantastic game. And I think the character of Pinhead and what he represents is really cool. His power in this game is really neat, because there's a lot of like interactability to it with the Rites of Judgment, where he throws his M2 and it's a ranged attack, but it takes like a half second to appear, so the survivors have like a half second to react, or they can predict to where the red trail is going. Like there's a lot to it, and he's my favorite character to fight against as Survivor for that reason. Also, his cages are interesting, because you can have some sort of like weird coordinated map control. Like if you know that everybody is on the same side of the map as the person you just downed and they're tormented, just cage them to the other side of the map, and now they have to run across literally the entire map to get their friend out. You know, and if that person comes out and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna run in your face, they don't have DS and they don't have BT because they didn't technically come off a hook. So if you get those survivors that are like insta saving and trying to be cocky in your face about it, you just tunnel them. You know, so he doesn't make it in my top 3, but he's up there. I like playing him a lot. I don't play him enough, mostly just because like I don't like in this meta, like it's hard to play characters without movement options. It just feels like a lot of the time you just like have like multiple gens go off just because the maps are big. You know, like you didn't really make any mistakes. It's just the maps are huge and you can't physically be 2 places at once unless you're certain characters. But like, so like he doesn't really have a movement option to speak of. So like playing a character without a movement option or an ability to harass people far away kind of like makes him sometimes miserable to play against really good teams. And I think that's why people like, I hate when people like really give Pinhead, like not Pinhead, oops, wrong P-head. I hate when people really give Pyramid Head a hard time. I'm like, he's so unfun and terrible to fight. I'm like, he's not even that good. Like, not really. Like like he is not that great. He was more at the prime of his power when DS was broken, and now that DS is not broken, he just kind of like is okay. You know, he's fun. He's just, you know, he doesn't really have the map pressure to like, you know, be a threat, I guess. Hey, it's good old Demo. I mean Greg, because the Demogorgon is owned by Netflix and Stranger Things, and now that's no longer in the game. But yeah, Demo Georgian. Okay, this one's a hard one for me because for some reason the game thinks I have high MMR with Demo, and I don't know why. So a lot of my matches with Demo are pretty miserable because I only ever get good teams, and I don't know why the game thinks I'm good at Demo. I had 1 week where I played him for like a week straight because I was like, I'm on a Demo kick because I heard they were going to remove him soon. So I played Demo for like a week straight, and now the game's like, you are a Demo main and you can only have intense matches. But I will say he's probably going to go at the bottom of I love them. Demo's kit is just like really expansive. Like he has the portals, he has his shred, so he has a chase tool, but he also has a map presence tool, but it's not even like a free map presence tool like Blight. Like he has to actually set his map presence, you know, and like travel around, and that travel around has a cooldown, so it's like a little bit more fair than Blight, who just kind of like runs around for free and, you know, just harasses the map for no reason just because. You know, like Demo actually has setup time, so he feels a little bit more fair. His shred still gives him that kind of like anti brain. His shred still gives him that anti-loop capabilities, which, you know, every killer's got to have some sort of anti-loop capabilities nowadays. Like this is just like a thing now that all killers ever released will be anti-chase somehow. So he still has that a little bit, but mostly he's just, you know, aesthetically cool and he's a good boy. So that's it. Oh boy, Fredward Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I like Nightmare on Elm Street a lot. When I was first starting to like kind of like embrace my love of horror, when I was finally allowed to watch things, first it was like Alien. I did all of Alien, all of Predator, but after I watched Alien and Predator, I watched all of Nightmare on Elm Street. So that was my like kind of one of my first forays into like horror movies. You know, like archetypical slasher movies, right? Because I grew up in a very like, you know, a household that was very much like nerdy, but they were also like, you know, very careful about what we intook until we were like teenagers. So Nightmare on Elm Street was one of those first like horror series I actually watched like start to finish. So like I have a fondness for Freddy for that reason. This is the Jackie Earl Haley version of the character from the remake, which is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen, or at least it's super boring. And tasteless and raunchy and just bad, just edgy for no reason. But like, you know, it's like I think I'm going to put him at the bottom of I Love Him. That's where he's going to stick. He's not mechanically interesting at all, but that's kind of why I play him. Like, Freddy's who I go to when I want to turn my brain off. And that used to be even worse before his nerf, where he was just like super powerful with his dream snares. But that's like no longer the case. Now he's kind of just not great. But he's still a character that doesn't require a lot of thought. His power is so simple that you don't really have to put too much thought into it. So if I'm just like wanting to just play killer but not really think too hard, I'll just play Fredward. So I appreciate him for that role in my life. Oh boy, here comes Billy. Okay, listen, we're not even gonna fraternize about this. We're not even gonna talk about it. Okay, he is literally like one of the most fun characters I've ever played in Dead by Daylight, period. He's just so fun. Like getting like it takes like that feeling I got from Huntress where I was like, oh wow, I hit that really hard hatchet, and that's just all I do, right? Yeah, you tell him, Billy. Like it takes that hard hatchet situation that you get sometimes with Huntress where you're like, oh, that was a really hard hatchet to hit, and you got that, and it's like, wow, all of your chainsaws are hard to hit. So like even back revving, they can like zip to the left or the right, and you got to be really, really careful about it. Like all of your shots are skill shots, all of them. And I just like it's thrilling. It's just a good time. You're flying by the edge of your seat the entire time you're playing this character. And the good thing is most everybody loves playing against Billy too, so most people are happy to see you. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just a good time all around, and I'm really, really happy that this is my new secondary in the game. I love Billy. But you know who's number one. You know who will always be number one in my heart. Always. Halloween 5 was the first horror movie I ever saw, and I saw it way too young. It was on the TV. I saw somebody get stabbed with a pitchfork, freaked me out, and I had a Halloween, like, Michael Myers phobia for, like, forever until I was, like, in my teenage years, and I actually got to, like, you know, watch the rest of the Halloween films. But then that man scared me. That man frightened me. So he was kind of, like, technically the first horror movie I've ever seen. So, like, the fact, and then also he's the character that got me into the game, because like I saw DBD and it looked kind of jank. It looked kind of like, you know, it looked kind of like a buggy game. I saw that from a mile away even before I started playing. But then I found out that Michael Myers was in the game, and I was like, so that's kind of like what pulled me into this, and now I, you know, make content almost every single day about this game, so that's pretty cool. So he brought me into this, so you can thank Michael Myers for the content creator that is sitting here before you. Isn't that interesting? And now I will say this, mechanically I find him to be one of the most boring characters in the game. Like, I hate to say that, because he is like the horror icon, and he's like Halloween 1 is one of my favorite movies, period. Not just horror movies, one of my favorite movies, but like that guy's boring. You just stare at people, and sometimes you insta down them, and if you do it too much, you just straight up run out of your power, which is one of the few characters in the game who can actually run out of your power. like he needs a power facelift, like, really badly. He is almost Trapper levels of just like, I don't know how you exist in 2021. I really don't. He needs to be, somebody needs to go back and flesh this character out, because he is not fun to play. Don't worry, I will move him. I just I just like the visual of him just like, you know, just not fitting in the frame. I tried so many different ways to do that, but that's the best he's getting. Okay, the Nemesis Sister. Speaking of people that aren't fun to play, I disagree. He's horrible to play against. I feel like this character is probably like down there with some of the worst characters to fight against in this game. He is one of the most obnoxious characters to fight in this game. He is the definition of anti-chase. He is horrible. He is horrible. He is one of the most unfun characters to fight in this game as Survivor. But as Killer, he is tremendously fun, because his tentacle, his M2, it actually has a lot of like skill to it. Like the click drag thing, I know if you don't know about this, Oz has a whole video on it, but like you have the tentacle whip, you know, which comes out and hits somebody. But like also it's like very, very narrow. Like it's like really hard to hit until you understand that it has a lingering hitbox, so it stays out there for a while. Like if you don't get hit by the tentacle and you run back into it, it'll hit you, because it's there for like a full second instead of like the moment it hits, right? So what you can do is you can throw that out there and like click and drag your tentacle. You can just like flick your tentacle out there and then drag it across like an area, and it'll like hit that area. So like you can like actually do some really, really like crazy shots with this character, just based on that whole click and drag thing, and it's really, really addicting. Also, I love Resident Evil a lot. Resident Evil 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. He's from 3, which I have only ever played the remake of. I'm working on playing the OG 3 soon. But like Resident Evil 2, top 15 games I've ever played in my life. It might be top 10. So like I love this series a lot. So I'm gonna put him. I like playing him more. I like playing him more than demo. I don't know. I think I do. Do I like playing him more than Pinhead? Do I like this character a lot? Oh god, that makes me feel gross because this character is like a nightmare to fight. I do. God, that feels bad. Because Pinhead's he's got that nursey power where he like has the teleportation or whatever. But like at the same time, he just kind of like, I don't know, dude. He like, you don't get too much out of it. But like Nemesis has skill shots, and that's just like what I'm about. I feel bad. I need to move on. All right, hello Nurse. There, all right. Nurse is a character I got into quite a lot for a while. You know, if you've been hearing my like the consistencies between what I like doing, skill shots are what I do. I like skill shots. I like going for hard hits and actually getting them. So that is this character. She's really hard though. really hard. And I had a problem with her is like I get car sick really easily. Like I get that motion sickness really easily. And I was getting that with her, so I like had to run Shadowborn to be able to play her, and I don't have Shadowborn on her anymore, so I just get like nauseous playing this character. But when I had because I P3'd her, I P3'd everybody. But when I had Shadowborn, when she was P2, I was having such a good time. Like I was having such a good time. Like this character was really fun. It felt like I was Huntress, except I was the hatchet. Like she just like threw me, you know, and like it made me. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I thought that was really cool. I think I'm gonna put her. Because I'm thinking about the peak when I was actually playing her. It's not like I don't like playing her. It's just like I don't have the Shadowborn to make me not nauseous anymore. I'm going to put her here for now. I may change my mind. Because if Nurse was a popular IP, I feel like she'd just be above Pinhead. I think I just like Hellraiser. So like that's the only reason that's above that. But you know, I did have a blast playing Nurse when I had Shadowborn. So yeah, she'll sit comfortably there. Clown. I'm gonna put him here because that's where I put everybody. Clown's interesting. He used to be the worst character in the game, and then he got a rework where he has speed bottles in addition to slow bottles, and for that reason, I'm gonna put him at the top of there. All right. Clown is still mechanically really boring. He's just I throw a bottle and you go slower, and then I hit you, and that's it. That is essentially what he does. But he has this extra component to it now that I actually do find pretty fun. It's that with the yellow bottles, you get haste if you're in it, right? So it's survivors, by the way, so be careful. But I do like you get into these situations at pallets where you got to do like a little brain teaser real quick. You're like, I got to throw the yellow gas here, so I run through there, so I'm fast, but I throw the slow gas over here. So by the time the survivor is running away from me, they run through the purple gas at the same time I am sped up by the yellow gas. So I'm fast and they're slow and they don't make the pallet. Like you have to do this like little equation in your head. Like really quickly, and I like that. I just think it's kind of fun to go how would I be fast while they are slow at this particular loop, and you just do that over and over. I think it makes him like he's entertaining now, you know, at least from the killer side of things. I think he used to be boring to fight as survivor and boring to play as killer, but at least there's a little bit of intrigue to him now as killer, so at least on the killer side of things he's interesting. Good old Wraith, good old Radig. Oh brother, oh Wraith, you are a controversial figure, aren't you? Because you are probably the easiest to play character for the amount of results comparably, you know, like you don't have to learn anything about this character. He's kind of a lazy character. I hate to say this to you, bud, but you're kind of lazy now. He used to be one of the weakest characters in the game. He used to be like bottom 5, but then they like over buffed him, and now he's like the easiest to play character, and he gets like tons and tons of results for basically like no skill or effort whatsoever. He's still, at the end of the day, basically just an M1 killer. He just kind of moves fast while cloaked. His Windstorm update was perfect. I like his Windstorm update, but his lunge, his super freaking crazy lunge that goes forever, like Like, screw that thing. That thing is busted and annoying. I hate to do this. I do like Wraith a lot for the same reason. That's why they're at the end I love them, because these two fill the same role in my head. They're both like, I don't feel like thinking, but I feel like playing killer, so I'll play Freddy or I'll play Wraith. It's literally one of the two. Like, literally, if I don't feel like thinking today, but I want to play the killer role, I'm playing Wraith or Freddy. And I hate putting him up that high because, like I said, he's really obnoxious to fight. He is literally like so annoying. I feel like Wraith right now is the most annoying killer in the game, and I'm saying that while like Twins and Hag exist in the game. Like, Wraiths are annoying, man. Like, they are insufferable. But like, I don't know, I just sometimes I just don't feel like thinking. So, you know, he fits that bill pretty well, huh? All right, good old Evan, good old Trapper. Okay, so they're all right. Trapper. So Trapper's interesting. He got a buff recently, so now he doesn't need Trapper bags. He doesn't have to rely on Trapper bags. I think Trapper is a good time in the sense that, like, sometimes you just don't feel like chasing people, right? Sometimes you just don't feel like chasing people. And if you don't feel like chasing people and you still want to play killer, that Trapper is your man, because all you do is you just set down traps and hope people run into them. You do chase. You don't not chase, but you do it very little. Like, you basically bank on people running into your traps as opposed to actually chasing. So I'm going to put him at the top of there, all right, because, like, I don't love playing Trapper, because Trapper matches are very lopsided. Trapper matches are literally either, like, you 4K because you put somebody in basement, or, like, no, everybody disables your traps because they're in a group and you are man with machete and it's a 4-man out. There's very little in between. So I don't like how, even with this buff, how lopsided his matches are. I wish he's very inconsistent, I guess would be the phrase. He's a very, very inconsistent character. So I wish there was more consistency to him. So I was playing a Dead Dog match on stream the other day, and I got 2 people in traps, and his traps are still RNG based, by the way. And 2 people fell in the trap and doing 2 different traps at the same time. I was like, this is it. The game's over. They both get out of their traps the first time. Yeah, see? Even my phone's like, what the heck? Like, literally, like, how is that a thing? How is a killer in 2021 losing the game because of RNG? And trust me, we'll get to another character that I don't like for that reason. So yeah, that I can't in good faith put Trapper any higher than that because of those annoying factors. I just can't. Okay, Oni-chan. Yeah, you tell him. Whap. Oni's I have a complicated relationship with Oni. Oni's a very, very hard character to learn. When people have conversations about, like, high skill cap characters, I never hear about Oni ever, but he really does. He's kind of like, because most killers that have like a super high kill cap, like you associate with like ranged killers, but like he is like melee hell. He's like melee hell. He is a handful. You gotta manage your blood. You gotta like know when to use your power, when not to use your power. You gotta know flicks. You gotta know how to like extend your flick. You gotta know how to go around a corner. Like, he has a lot of depth to him, and I feel like he's a character that unless you devote that time or just play the game for a while, you're not gonna get the most out of him. So he kind of sits in this weird like blight zone of like, you know, like, oh well, unless you devote a lot of time to this character, you're probably gonna like bonk off a lot of walls and get really, really frustrated, and it's gonna make you wonder why you're not playing Billy. It's gonna make you wonder why you're not playing Billy, who can just like insta chainsaw like literally all the time, instead of having to wait for your power and then have your power be like harder. He does have massive slugging potential that Billy doesn't have. I think that makes him a lot more dangerous and makes him argue, like, if this was like a strength tier list, way better than Billy, like way better. I think I'm gonna put him like, I like him more than I would. I like playing him more than I would play Clown. But like, I don't know, he's just like, he's kind of a headache to play. He really is. Like, you got to do so much, and he kind of feels like a chore to play sometimes because you have to be efficient and good at doing so many different things. Oh man, the Death Slinger. Okay, so this used to be the most annoying character in the game because he could ADS for free, so he could just like aim at you and zone you to death, and there was nothing you could do about it. But he was also not like a top tier character, because in the 4v1 he's a 110 character with no map control, so he just kind of like lost, so nobody was having fun. And now they've nerfed him even further than that. Now he can't ADS. His ADS time is like so punishing that it makes you wonder why you're playing the character. His tear radius is normal now, which I agree with. A guy with a gun should not have a short tear radius. You know, that's not it. I don't know, like, they nerfed him to the point where I don't know if he has a role anymore. Like, he just kind of like, I don't know what his identity is anymore. So Death Slinger is just in this place where like he kind of just doesn't have an identity, and he's not better at anything than anybody. Like, every other range killer does things better than he does to like a massive extent. Like, he doesn't really have a role anymore. So I don't know what's more meh than just like not having a role in the game really anymore. Like, I really hope they go back and like give him something, you know, because right now he kind of just doesn't have anything. He's just kind of the worst version of every other ranged character, and it's just like, I don't know. And I really liked this character at one point. Like, even though he was like unfun to face, like getting those snapshots were really fun. But now he just kind of, I don't know what he does anymore. All right. Oh boy, the good old twins. Okay, so the twins, I'm just gonna put them there. The twins aren't as bad as people make them out to be in terms of to play against. Oh yeah, 10,000% agree with you. One of the most miserable characters to fight in this game. I think Nemesis is worse, personal opinion, but I do think that the twins are incredibly miserable to fight against. To play as, though, it's kind of fun running around as a little crying angry man and leaping at people. His hitbox is kind of the opposite of forgiving. His hitbox is like you'll like, sometimes I feel like you'll just like glide by people and not latch onto them, which is really frustrating. Also, it's just kind of like a time-consuming process, especially after their nerf, where you run them, you hit them, so you got to get the M1 at the initial chase, and then you drop Victor. Victor chases them down. You got to be careful, because if you miss even at all, they kick you, and then you lose your power for a while. So you have to land that hit, slug them, and get over there as Charlotte. Hope they haven't gotten too far, which, you know, realistically with like Lithe and Sprint Burst, they've probably made it a far away. So they make it super far away, and then you got to beat the fellow survivors in the match over there before they pick them up. And if they have like healing at all, which, you know, circle boon of healing is a thing now. Like, sometimes they, like, a lot of the times they just pick up the homie before you even get over there. So like they kind of Death Slinger twins, where they kind of like nerfed a little too much, and now the character kind of has problems functioning as a result. So they're not as bad to play as people make them out to be. Like, they're really not. Like, people exaggerate. Like, I can see why somebody finds them fun, right? But to me, it's not enough to play them. They are meh. Speaking of characters that get a bad rap, Trickster. Trickster is, you know, notorious for being very, very, very anti-chase, and that's kind of what he does. He's a ranged killer, but his whole thing is just anti-chase instead of, like, you know, like long-range shots like Huntress. His whole thing is just, I pelt you with knives and you lose the loop, right? Because instead of, you know, doing like Huntress where you got to get a skill shot to do a health state, he just whittles you down over time. That's what Trickster does. And I'm actually going to put him... Do I like him more than Clown? I think I do. I don't know if I do. He's here somewhere. Because I definitely like Odie and Trapper more. But Clown... I'll put him below Clown for now. Trickster, I like him for the same reason that I like Wraith and Freddy, but to a much lesser extent. It's like, it's nice if I want to play Huntress, but Huntress is hard. Huntress is like riding a bike, right? Like, you got to get the, like... the groove down, and if you don't ride a bike for a while, like, it's not like you lose it entirely, but you it's kind of awkward getting back on one after a long time. That's how I feel playing Huntress a lot. And if I just want to play a ranged character, but I don't want to go through like de-rusting my Huntress, I can just play Trickster and just like chuck knives and be brainless. Like, which is what makes him frustrating to fight against. But honestly, if I'm playing killer and I want to play a ranged killer and I don't want to think about it, like, he's the go-to homie. Oh boy, it's Piggy. Oh no. All right, backstory, story time. Pig used to be my secondary. Pig used to sit right where Hillbilly's sitting, right here. When I first started playing the game, Pig was my homie. Pig felt like just like a fun version of Moogle, so I played Pig a lot. Pig, however, fell out of grace with me and fell pretty far from being the top 3. And I know people love this character, so it's like really hard to like say and do this. It really is. Honestly, she's probably good where she's sitting, like right there, to be honest. I like playing her more than Spirit, but I don't like playing her more than the rest of the characters in that. So here's the deal. Pig used to be my secondary. I used to love playing Pig. The problem is, just like with Trapper, her power is RNG based, more so than Trapper. So she has the hats that she puts on people's heads. Those hats have a timer that if it goes off, you essentially get morted, like on the spot. The problem is this is entirely RNG based. There are 5 boxes around the map, and you got to go through all of those, and you got to one of them at random is the one that if you do all the skill checks, it'll get the hat off your head, but it's random. And I've just had so many situations where I have had the hats come off first or second try and just suddenly, despite it not being my fault, lose the match and lose all my pressure because of RNG, because numbers that are random that I have no control over decided to screw me, that I lost a whole match. And it just happened so many times that I just got over it, dude. Like there's no two ways about it. I just got over it. Like I was just like, I got tired of being screwed by RNG. If they adjust her power at some point in the future to not be an RNG, she's gonna be up here again. She'll sit comfortably up there. If her hats become not RNG and have some consistency to them, I'll be playing her like every day. But for now, where did I put her? Put it right there. For now, she goes down there because the RNG hats are just stupid. Good old Legion or old Legion. Legions, not very mechanically interesting at all. You run at people with knife, you stab people with knife, you get free injury because you're fast, but then you go ow ow, and that's it. And then you're just an M1 killer. But there's something to be said for that simplicity. He's not very complicated. There's some text you can do, like swing ahead somebody, hit a window, and body block the window, and that stuff's kind of interesting. Also, his cosmetics are really, really cool, which is why I suspect they made the character, is to sell a lot of cosmetics. His cosmetics, he's got a neat aesthetic. All 4 of them do. Julie and Joy are my favorite, and they have some of the best cosmetics out of them. I know. I'm quirky. I like Susie. Shut up. Be quiet. Yeah, I'm gonna put him. I think I enjoy him more than Trapper. I think I do. I think he's like the epitome of they're all right. Like I'm like, yeah, they're okay. Like when I think of Legion, I never have negative feelings, but they're not one of my favorites by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, pretty simple. All right, Booba. This one's gonna make people upset. Booba, good old Bubba Story from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. Love that movie. I like the second one. Kind of. They're totally completely different movies, so it's a little. So horror went from gritty realism to, oh, we can be funny with this, and then it went back to realism, and it was in that phase that Texas Chainsaw 2 became a comedy, like a dark comedy, and it's okay. It's not a bad time if you turn your brain off. Anyways, I need to talk about the killer in this video again. Bubba for me is I don't like him. I don't really like Bubba. I really don't. So like, I think I don't dislike Bubba. I dislike the tantrum and how like sensitive the tantrum is and how much you lose off the tantrum. I think he's an incredibly fun character when you're sawing people and the kind of the anxiety you inflict when you come up on somebody revving your chainsaw. I think the collision boxes that in DBD's maps are really poorly designed. Very poorly designed, and you figure that out most as Blight, right? Like you're like, why did I slide off of that, or why did I hit thin air? Or you figure this out as Huntress. You're like, why does a little cooler on Azerov's that's only this big, like in my hands right now, this big, have a collision box that's as tall as a person? I don't fucking know. I don't know. But Bubba's one of those characters that really, really suffers from that, because I'll be chainsawing around a tree on Macmillan Estate, and the little twigs that stick out have a collision box that extends slightly past them, and I'll bump into that in full tantrum and lose the whole chase, and then they make it to Shack, and now I have to play Shack. when the survivor should have just been dead, but oh, collision box of a twig is actually like 10 feet long. It's just frustrating. like you lose so much off of a tantrum, and without the collision boxes in this game being so just like nonsensical, it's just annoying, man. Plagu, one of the characters that got a recent quality of life buff. So Plague, I don't know. That might be a good place for her. I like her more than Spirit, I would say. Yeah, that's probably a good place for her, to be honest. Plague is fun, interesting, amazing backstory. But she's one of those characters kind of like Oni, where she's just got a lot going on that you have to do at all times. You got to manage puking on people, puking on hooks, puking on gems, puking on this, puking on that. When do I pick up my Vile Purge? When do I not pick up my Vile Purge? Like, there's a lot going on up there that you have to like constantly keep tabs on and do efficiently as Plague to get the most out of the character. So she's not the kind of character you want to play if you like don't want to have to like be thinking at like maximum efficiency like all times, because you can lose a lot as Plague if you're not willing to just be that efficient all the time. She demands a lot out of you, but if you're willing to do that, fantastic character, amazing character, especially after her quality of life buffs. I think this is a character I will love at some point. You know, like this is a character that I'll be like, okay, time to just when I because I'm perking out everybody right now. I have everybody prestige 3. I'm perking everybody out. When I get all perks on her and I'm playing her like all the time, I feel like I'll like this character. But for now, I just, you know, I've not taken that journey. So she's sitting pretty much squarely in the middle of the tier list. So yeah, we'll get to Plague. All right, Ghostface. This one's gonna make people upset. I love Scream. Scream's very, very good. Sequels are hit or miss. But like the first one is revolutionary for horror, and I'm very, very good. I know before somebody says in the comments, technically they only have access to the mask. Okay, I understand, but you know, that's why it's in the game, because they're manipulating the popularity of that movie. Danny Johnson is probably the most honestly the best, most well-written original character in DBD. Like he has a really good backstory that feels like really grounded and realistic. And yeah, I don't know, it just kind of works. However, playing this character, I don't like playing this character. His reveal mechanics are so buggy and weird that nobody's having a good time. I'm not having fun because sometimes I get revealed across an entire map. Like somebody will be standing, like I'll be on Blood Lodge and I'll be chasing somebody like on the opposite side of the map, and then somebody will reveal me from the railing of Blood Lodge. And I'm like, from across the map, I'm like, okay. But like sometimes I'll be like chasing somebody like 10 feet away from me, and all they're doing is, you know, looking behind them, staring straight at me, and they can't decloak me. Like it's just like, it's so inconsistent, and I hate how inconsistent it is. I feel like that's like what this bottom tier is, this meh tier is. It's like, is their power in any way inconsistent? Because I don't like inconsistency, and he is like the paramount inconsistent character in this game. Like he is the penultimate inconsistent character in this game. And I feel like, you know, you think I would like him because Mookle's my favorite character, but like, because he's a turbo Mookle. He's just Mookle with a quality of life update. So theoretically, I should like this character, but his power is so freaking inconsistent that I can't stand him. Yeah, that's Ghostface. You knew it was coming. Would rather stick my fingers in a fan. Hey, how's it going? So I understand that the whole point of the character is to be anti-meta, right? Because anti-meta exists in any competitive game. There's like, you know, the whole point of the game is to do ABC, and there's a character that says, what if I do CBA? You know? And that's what Hag does. Hag is that I'm going to do everything the opposite of every other character. But man, it, you know, in practice, probably the most boring character to fight on both sides. Like, you would even, like, at least Trapper has, like he's got to set up his traps, and he's got to, like set up a zone, and pay attention to that zone, and, you know, like, Hag can just teleport to any of her traps. She's also the only character in the game that, like, grabs the controls out of the survivor's hands. When you trigger a trap, your camera force pans at the traps. So, like, I don't know, dude. Like, and I'm not having fun either, because, like, there's so much camping involved with this character. Because her whole thing is, I'm just going to lock down one area and just stay there. Like, there's so much camping involved with this character, and camping's not fun. Camping's like something you do when like the match is just like going completely the wrong way and you need anything to pull the match back your direction, right? But this character's whole design is just camp from the start and just screw it, just camp all the time. And you know what camping is? Camping is quite literally by definition just sitting around. You know, like you set up your traps, you sit around, you wait for people to mess up, and when they do, you just teleport, slap, draw more triangles, and keep camping. Like it's just uninteresting from the top to the bottom. Like, there's just nothing going on there. But I don't know. Maybe one day I will devote time to Hag and see the light. But for now, I just think she's probably the worst designed killer in the game. But yeah, that is my killer tier list. It's pretty comprehensive, honestly, and I think like this is why I'm a variety killer. Like you're like, why aren't you a so-and-so main? Why you could devote all this time to Hillbilly? Because look, for the most part, like from their variety is all right by definition, and most characters are in this middle zone of either they're good or they're okay, you know. So that's a good thing. A lot of the killer designs in this game are great, and I like that a lot. I just think that this is a tangent that will not go nowhere because this video is already so long. I feel like the 4v1 is just boring in this game, but like the killers and their designs are just so unique and cool, and I like them a lot, and I like how they're different. Like Plague plays in such a vastly different way to like Wraith, or like Cloud plays such a vastly different way to like Pinhead. Well, actually those are kind of similar if you think about it, but Cloud plays so dramatically different to like Huntress, even if they're both like, you know, I'm gonna hit you despite the loop being here. Hillbilly plays so differently from Bubba, who even though they both have chainsaws, you know, like it's just cool stuff. It's just neat, and I like it a lot. Like I like the killers in this game, besides you. Like even the meh, like, you know, a lot of these are just like either inconsistencies or they've been hit with a nerf that's kind of like too stiff, you know. Like by and large the characters in this game are cool and well designed, and I really love playing Dead by Daylight for that reason, and that's why I prefer the killer role and always will. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a really long video, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you agree with my sentiments. There's definitely some hot takes here. Definitely having Pig low is going to piss people off. Definitely having Bubba low is going to make people angry. But like, you know, I'm interested to hear your subjective takes too. So yeah, let's talk about it in the comments below. And before you scoot on out of here, make sure you do the the thumbs up thing and the sub-roonies, because that's how you support me the best. And you know, I like being supported just like any person does. So I appreciate that ahead of time, friendo. Stepping over my words. Yeah, outros. Bye.